Hey everyone, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn with a card featuring the Oh What Fun stamps and dies and the new Holiday Reveal Wheel sentiments used with the Holiday Reveal Wheel dies. This is one of my favorite interactive die collections and add-ons. Amazing, creates really fun interactive cards and just lots of things you can do with them. I'm going to use the reveal wheel, the basic reveal wheel, and in addition, I'm going to use the reveal wheel speech bubble add-on. It fits right in that little notch at the top of the reveal wheel or also the square reveal wheel, so whichever base you're using. And then there's always a frame. So there's going to be a little frame for this, but it's going to die cut the opening, which is the front of our reveal wheel. This is where the scene is going to take place. This is also where you're going to be able to see your interactive element that's going to spin around with that little wheel so that you can see some fun, different sentiments or images, whatever you choose to put in here. I'm going to custom ink the sky with Mermaid Lagoon and Chipped Sapphire Distress inks. I am just going to simply start with a nice base of Mermaid Lagoon, blend in some Chipped Sapphire until I get my background looking the way I want it to look. Now, when I am doing any panel like this where I'm doing some scene building, I don't look at this any different than I do a different card. So I'm going to take this same reveal wheel panel. We won't need to use the speech bubble or anything else. And I'm going to die cut it again from some additional pieces of smooth white cardstock. And then from those pieces, or even just a partial. I usually only do a partial so I don't waste a whole bunch, that top portion of the reveal wheel. But that from those additional die cut panels, we're going to die cut borders for the snow, which will be created with the stitched hillside borders dies. And I'm also going to die cut a complete other panel without the window cutout for the back of my reveal wheel. I think it's always super important to have that backer. It really helps me engaging where to place my wheel and things like that. You might not have to do that. You could probably just do it on your background paper if you wanted to. But for me, it's much easier to just build the reveal wheel and then place that on my card. So there you could see I die cut partial borders using my reveal wheel panel. And then from that, I die cut snowy borders for the bottom of my scene. We're going to have two of these along the bottom edge of the scene. From that, we're going to use the brand new little mini Oh What Fun image, which to me, and you're going to see when I color the Oh What Fun image, I think that little bear looks like Winnie the Pooh. Please tell me it's not just me. I think he's so cute. And I wanted him sledding down a hill against this snowy kind of night sky, and I'm going to even add some trees in the background using a tree from the previously released Toboggan Together stamp set. And where I'm going to show you an easy way to customize an image that is solid. So something you would stamp with a colorful ink. In this case, I am using some Lawn Fawn inks. I know I listed exact colors at the underneath this video here on YouTube and also over on my blog. I believe it's freshly cut grass and cilantro. I started with noble fir. You're going to see a dark green one, and it just, I thought it was too dark for my card. So I ended up not using that one. But I'm going to stamp these trees, and then I'm going to show you how to take your Copic markers. You could take colored pencils, and you can add shading so that they look much more like the black outline image we're going to color instead of a flat green tree. And this is a really easy way to add some texture to this kind of an image. So I've got 4 trees, I believe, and then I've got the little bear in the sleigh. And that's it as far as die cut images. The rest is all going to be stamped on the background and things like that. So that was noble fir. you can really see it's dark, and I felt like it was going to be too dark. I even have swatches of my inks, and looking at my swatches, I thought it was going to work, and I think it does fade a little bit as the ink dries, but it was just a lot darker than what I think I intended. So I'm going to stamp several cilantro trees, several freshly cut grass trees, and then we're going to add texture. That is freshly cut grass right there. And then the lighter one will be cilantro. And I just need to make sure I clean it between changing colors. I probably should have done several of the same color first. I think at the time I wasn't exactly sure. Actually, this might be the freshly cut grass. The first one was cilantro. I was wrong about that. And this can work for any solid tree image you have. I kind of went through my entire collection of Christmas and holiday themed Lawn Fawn stamps looking for the perfect tree and picked this one from Toboggan Together. Now we're going to take some Copic markers. I am using YG 25 and 17, and I'm not doing a ton of blending. Instead, I'm kind of feathering or flicking that color down. I'm also taking 2 brown colors and coloring in the base of each tree with E55 and E57. But then I'm simply just kind of flicking that color down from each section of the tree. And look at the instant shading you get with that. Super fast, easy coloring. And it adds a lot of character to these cute little trees. Once we get our trees colored, it's time to color in our little Pooh Bear in the sleigh. I went really traditional. We have blues in the background, green trees, and I wanted that pop of red on my card. So the sleigh is going to be red, his outfit is going to be red, his hat's going to be red, and we're even going to die cut the speech bubble outline frame with red cardstock, the Lawn Fawn Chili Pepper cardstock. And that's really going to make that stand out. We're even going to stamp our sentiments that are going to move in the reveal wheel in the Lawn Fawn Lobster ink. So we have that nice pop of red on a card that has a lot of, like I mentioned, blues, greens, and white. I think that adds that nice pop of color. I'm using our 35, 37, and 39 to color in the sleigh. And then we want his hat and his outfit to be red as well. I'm going to break up all that red. I considered using or leaving the trim on the sleigh white, but I really felt like I needed something else to break that up because I wanted to leave the trim on his collar, his gloves, around the trim on his hat, the pom-pom. I wanted to leave those white, and I felt like it was maybe a little too much white, so I opted to color in some green for that trim there. His face and ear, I'm using some yellow reds in YR 31 and 24. This is where the Winnie the Pooh kind of reference comes in. I tried to find colors that reminded me of Winnie the Pooh. And then the sleigh runner down here along the bottom, I did in some cool grays. Also some cool grays for the accents on his outfit and his gloves. And then I will go back in with the Marvy Snow Marker after I have die cut all the images. And we're going to add texture around his collar and the trim on his hat and the pom-pom with that Marvy Snow Marker. But I usually like to do a little base with cool grays first just to add a little shading in case some of that shows through. Then we're going to die cut these images with the coordinating Oh What Fun and Toboggan Together dies. Some metal snips, you guys, are so handy. If you don't have any for cutting apart your dies, I just had to get a new pair. I actually broke my old pair. I don't know, probably used it so much. And these are fantastic. I really, really like them. They get into those small spaces really easily. Now my reveal wheel, I always like to draw a little faint line. In fact, it's a little hard to see because I draw it really, really light because I want to erase it. You need the small wheel and the large wheel. On the large wheel, that is where you're going to stamp. The small wheel is what is going to secure the reveal wheel to the back panel of your card. And you're going to attach the actual moving piece with a brad of some sort, and that is going to make that move freely. And I'll show you that here in a second. Let's stamp Hope Your Holidays Are from the Holiday Reveal Wheel stamp set above our window. I tend to like to have part of my sentiment on the panel and then the rest of it moving in the window. That's probably my favorite way to use the reveal wheel. And that way, each of the sentiments that moves with the reveal wheel are part of that sentiment on the front. So hope your holidays are very merry. Hope your holidays are full of cheer. Hope your holidays are warm and cozy. And hope your holidays are merry and bright. It works for all 4 sentiments that we're going to be using in that window. I'm going to stamp this with the Lawn Fawn Clear Embossing ink. Heat set this with Lawn Fawn White Embossing Powder. You guys probably already know I'm a big fan of white embossing powder on a dark background. I'm also a big fan of these blue kind of night sky backgrounds for my holiday cards, especially this year, it seems like, at all times, but this is probably something I'm just I gravitate towards to this season. We're going to put our snowy borders along the bottom edge of the front of our panel. And build our scene. I'm doing some foam adhesive squares on the back of the bear in the sleigh, and then the trees are all adhered directly to the background. I felt like the bear needed just a tiny bit of dimension, maybe. Just peel off my little squares. I like the scrapbook adhesives, foam adhesive squares. That's probably what I use 95% of the time when adding foam adhesive to images to add to my cards. As always, I like to take a black glazed pen, add detail to eyes, noses in this case. I take a white pen, I'm adding dot detail to the cheek. I'm adding some highlights to the rest of the image and even adding some highlights to the trees. I want this to be really cohesive, so I make sure and do all of the images. Just a little highlight here and there. I've also stamped and embossed those snowflakes from the Oh What Fun stamp set on the background before I went ahead and did all this. I didn't realize my camera had turned off. Sometimes that happens while I did that. So I just stamped those on the background before I added any of the rest of the elements. Now, to put together the reveal wheel, we are going to put a brad through the back small circle and put it through the front, then add foam adhesive only to the small circle. The foam adhesive really helps, I think, the reveal wheel move freely. And so I very much recommend using a little foam adhesive. Now the back of my reveal wheel is this white panel here, and I'm going to just temporarily adhere the reveal wheel to my front panel with some post-it tape. In fact, this post-it tape I've used for die cutting, so it's been well loved, but it still has some sticky in it. Remove the backing paper from the foam adhesive squares and then press that in place to my back panel of the reveal wheel. Now, while I still have these components, I don't want to attach anything yet. I'm just going to hold my front panel in place and lightly draw in my pencil lines in each quadrant of the reveal wheel. For me, this is just so helpful. I tend to struggle, I think, getting them stamped exactly where I want them to go. So for me, it's worth a little extra effort to draw in the lines and then erase them. Now, a lot of times I will stamp and then erase, but you have to be so stinking careful. And I had a viewer suggest placing your images in your MISTI, which I had done in a previous video, but once you have them placed where they go ahead and pick them up with the cover of your stamp positioner. Then take that component, that reveal wheel, out and erase everything before you stamp. So once I had my sentiments from the holiday reveal wheel placed exactly where I wanted them to go, and you can see I've just lined them up in those little rectangles that I drew in, I'm going to take this out and take my Tombow Mono Eraser, and I'm going to get rid of all those pencil lines. And I'm pretty aggressive with it. I want to get rid of everything before I stamp. And this was so much easier. Then I put it back in the Misty, stamped those with Lawn Fawn Lobster Red ink, replaced the reveal wheel with the brad on the back panel, and now we're going to put foam adhesive. I always put it on the back panel around the reveal wheel so that it's really secure. I want it to be everywhere, not too close to the reveal wheel, still want it to move freely, but I want this to be a nice secure panel. And once I have all these foam adhesive squares in place, I can pop those up, or take off the backing paper rather, and place my front panel right over this. And I use a combination of the large and small. I just love these reveal wheels. I think they're super fun. And look at that. When you use your finger to move the reveal wheel, it changes the sentiment. Now I'm putting a little liquid glue behind the speech bubble add-on frame. Die cut from Lawn Fawn Chili Pepper cardstock, glued in place. Now all we have left is adding the little phrase to let everybody know, or the recipient know, that this is an interactive card. It's something I always like to add. You could also use the die cut arrow that comes with the reveal wheel if you don't want to add a sentiment. And I felt like the background of my card needed a little something. It needed a little interest. There's a lot of white on this card, which I really like, especially for a holiday card, but I felt like our background was just a little too plain. So for this card, I'm going to take a Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die, a large stitched rectangle, the A2 sized one, and I am also going to take some of the Really Rainbow Christmas Petite paper, and we're going to use the white paper with the little gray snowflakes all over it, and die cut that with our rectangle, our large stitched rectangle, to place it in the background. From Oh What Fun with the lobster red ink on the inside, and I'm adding some Nouveau crystal drops in gloss white to fill in and add even more falling snow to my background. That's going to do it for this interactive holiday card featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for another holiday themed card. The supplies I use are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.